Conservation Commission meeting, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which stands one nation, indivisible, liberty and justice.
Okay, so first up, we actually have a new member, Jessica Kahn. She is a new alternate member, and that's the last slot we have at the moment. So we now have 3 alternate members, so that's cool. Couldn't make it. I thought she might zoom in, so she might join us at some point tonight, but it's possible she won't. So let's go with the roll call.
Okay, Ellen Snyder.
Here.
Dan Kenny. Here. Colin Lawson.
Here.
Tom Jones.
Here.
Jeff Goldknopp.
Present.
David Bell.
Here.
Okay, and I know Melissa and Chris and Julie couldn't make it, and neither could Brian Ward. So I will appoint both Tom and Colin as voting members tonight. Lucky you. Any public comment? I don't think we have any public. So we get to move on to a little party. So we are congratulating Sue Frick for 10 years with Conservation Commission, and thank you for doing such a great, awesome job. Not only taking great minutes, but just really being supportive and interested in what we're doing, and actually a historian, I think, for everything we're doing. And I know you want to say a few things, but I wanted to give you Chris Blackstone's in a little went out and got something. Oh, she did. So this is for you. And we also have some cider and some cookies. So when anybody wants a break, we can pass these around. So you can share what you got.
Wonderful. It's the heirloom gardener.
Awesome.
Chris is a master gardener.
Yeah, she's a big gardener.
But she's a master gardener.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
bigger, and she teaches classes. Oh, wow. It's from Bedrock Gardens, and it's a membership to Bedrock Gardens.
Cool.
Really cool.
You have people who've been to
That's
Bedrock
my
Gardens,
first
and
one.
it's
Yeah,
very
it's-
nice. Yeah.
Grandmother's property. Annie Bell Pipa,
Ah.
New Hampshire. She and her husband owned 600 acres out on that whole area. With her apartment,
Where is it? Is it Newmarket?
no, it's in Lee.
Lee.
It's in Lee.
Very close to Newmarket, though.
So you go
Very
152, you cross 125, take the first left on, is it High Street?
Yeah,
High
it's
Street?
High Road.
High Road. And you go down High Road, and it's on the left, and it's a couple, the woman was she creates all these sculptures out of metal, like parts of tractors and machinery and stuff. and
It's
they have these beautiful
incredible,
gardens.
the stuff she's done.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Last weekend was the Fairy Garden
Right.
event.
Oh, we didn't go.
Did you guys go?
I have been to it, though.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
open to the public anytime, or?
No, it's certain weekends
Yeah.
that they choose. And it's publicized, I'm sure, today.
If you Google Bedrock Gardens, you can
Yeah.
find out when
I'll
they're
have to
open.
check it out. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, it's really.
The
Isn't-
original owner of the property, as I said, was my first mother, or grandmother. And Annie Bell Piper was the first town clerk, female town clerk in Maine, and she was also town clerk for a very long time. And the original homestead is still owned by Charlie and Ann, and it's just further down from Bedrock, but it's a big white house with the real stone at the front porch. It's called, but it has a name.
Mm.
Big new farm. Charles Piper was the farm.
Mhm.
Nice.
And then they moved across the street to the little white house, which I think is where Bedrock Park just out
Mm.
back.
Mhm.
Anyway, it's part of my old 40-year-old history.
Nice. Oh, nice. That's we didn't know that connection, at least I didn't, so that's
Well,
really
it's-
cool. Yeah.
And so when I was at Bedrock Gardens, I saw the Flintstones.
Fred and,
Weren't they from Bedrock? No.
Were they?
but I do want to say that back in 2013, when I came here, I started in that following spring with 14, but I had to do 6 or 7 months back. Two meetings.
Oh, wow.
At that time, I didn't have any other communities. And Jeff was
remember that, yeah. When you started and had to go back, and then we were approving multiple months at a time.
Yeah, at a time.
Yeah.
And I think it says at the end of these that they were approved in June 12th, 2013. But the coolest part of this was the people that were on there, like George Hilton, Fred Pearson,
Yeah.
people who were, and Dale Pike was the town council rep. And he talked all about life. He talked all about when the dam, they were just looking. They also, Fred and Bruce Pecto were going down to Shannon Park. We've been doing this for a long time. They were going down to look at what the park needs. Apparently the sod being eaten and ripped up by the duck.
The ducks are
Is it
a perennial
still-
problem.
So creating a problem there. Yes. Anyway, I
Those are
I
last month's notes?
I know, it was last month's meeting minutes, but not really. So we've been working on this, and they also, that was the first time that they'd ever looked at a turtle sign.
Oh, yeah, yep,
Right.
That was the year that we put the turtle
Yeah.
signs up for the first time in 2014. So they
Yeah.
approved those.
that's right.
Are they the same signs that you originally approved?
Yeah, except the one up by the golf course came later,
Yeah.
the little one.
But the design, everything is still the same?
It's the same exact
Yeah,
sign,
same sign.
yeah.
We were planning a nitrogen mailer as well. Not sure what that meant.
We were talking a lot about people fertilizing
Their
Yes.
lawns.
lawns
Lawns
and having
fertilizer.
nitrogen run off into wetlands all over the place.
And you kindly deposited a $65 check for a ranger.
Oh, excellent. Yes, we were selling rain barrels.
Interestingly, I just got a request if we're going to sell rain barrels again, so that's so, everything comes
Huh.
back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cyclical.
Yes.
10 years.
10 years.
It's only 7 years to recycle every cell in your body, but it's longer for the conservation commission. So thank you very, very much.
Well, thank you, Sue. It's really
Yeah,
great to
thank you,
have
Sue.
have you with us. And great job. If anybody ever wants to get up and get cider and cookies, feel free to help yourself. All right, so we need to approve the meeting minutes from September 14th, 2023. I have no edits. Anybody have any changes? All right, motion to approve as written. Colin, second? Second by David. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Sam abstains. All right. Okay, so I put, remember last meeting we talked about the non-public meeting minutes, and there's a new state law where we have to go back and kind of relook at those. So I thought, just to formalize it, it would be helpful maybe if we just assign 2 people to review those. And I mean, I've looked at them, so I'm happy to do it. And I asked Jeff, since Jeff's been involved, as we know, 10 years at least, if he would help me review those, and we would decide and recommend back to the commission which ones should stay sealed and which ones we can unseal. If he's definitely willing to do that. So maybe we could just have a motion that you approve,
Yeah.
if that sounds good. And
I move that after you guys review it, bring it back to us. Thank you for doing it.
Okay, second? Second, okay. Sounds good. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. And we have, we actually have 10 years, but I think the idea would be that in the next few months and even early next year, we can
Sure.
get it back.
Yeah, I actually thought we were doing it today.
No, we, I didn't know, it's like holiday season coming up, so
Oh.
we'll-
The motion
I didn't want-
completely unseal them.
so the motion will be, we'll review them and we'll recommend back
Well,
to the
it's
commission.
to appoint 2 people, essentially.
Yeah, just appointing us 2, and then we're going to look at them and see which ones we should reseal and which ones we would, and we'll bring that back to you, and then we would vote to agree to that. So you don't have to look at them all unless you want to, but we will recommend these dates we reseal, and these dates we unseal. That's kind of how I would expect it. Definitely. So, like, a lot of ours were sealed because we talked about real estate, and so you're talking about a private landowner. So if the project has been completed and the landowner actually did something, whether it's with us or somebody else, then you really should unseal it. I think there's a question we can discuss if there was a conversation with a private landowner and the project never went through. That seems like it's still probably confidential, so we would potentially reseal that. That might be one indication. There are some where there's some conversation about people on the commission, like even, I can't really think about what it was, but there's some situations where it's not at all related to real estate, so we sort of have to evaluate those. And if it's something about a personnel issue of somebody not on the commission, then you can reseal them. If it's something about somebody on the commission, actually you're not really supposed to seal those because you're not supposed to talk about members on a board and seal those as not public.
Right.
I think that's part of why the state law was this stuff should be public and you shouldn't be talking about things in non-public that aren't legitimately confidential, you know, for like a real estate or some personnel issue. So I know some of the town council minutes I think were resealed because there's personnel issues that shouldn't be public.
And that opens it for litigation? Is that the idea, that you protect
Well,
against
somebody can
that?
ask, like, we want to see those minutes and why are they sealed?
Yeah.
I mean, for our stuff, I don't think there's anything that's controversial as far as I can see in our minutes. But, yeah.
And would there be any that would have, like, private financial information, social security number?
I don't,
bank-
no, none of our
I wouldn't
minutes have
think it
those.
would
No,
be.
no. Most non-public minutes are pretty basic for that reason. You just, yeah. I don't think it'll be too, there's not that many. There's probably maybe 20?
I think all the ones we had in my time were just real estate.
Yeah, I think most
Or
of them.
discussions of looking at multiple properties.
Yeah.
None of that moved forward, I would assume. It's still keep them
Right,
sealed.
I think so. So, anyway, thank you for that. Okay, financial summary. Couple things on that, let's see. Okay, so for the conservation fund, our overall balance, our conservation fund, not counting Shanda, is $133,347.19. Shanda fund has been stable at $4,621.11. So the two together, $137,968.30. I know the finance department, they've changed over to a new system, and I haven't, anyway, it's not exactly the same yet, so this is not, probably, there's not a big difference, but I don't think we have our interest from last month and so forth, but not a big deal. I have some new requests from myself to you all for the Wigan Farm, but we'll talk about that later. And so the only addition was we got the second payment from the Land Purchase Advisory Committee for the Sliding Rock grant. So we completed that. So that came in, actually I think it came in last month, but got credited. So that's that. Any questions on that? And then the general fund, I forgot to move up that we did last month approve the up to $1,000 for SELT. So I have the current balance as $4,049.67, but if we spend $1,000, we drop that down. So $3,049.67.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just got in the mail the invoice from the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions, which we pay the annual dues for, and that is for $450, which is actually down because it's been $500 the last few
That's what I
years.
thought.
So since we got it just now, I guess I would entertain a motion if we want to, support it for another year. We do get some benefits in terms of their resources and annual meeting and so forth. If we would like to budget that, and we pay for that from the general fund. So if willing, I'd like to entertain a motion for that. Okay, from general fund.
A second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. So I will send it on to the finance department to pay. Just while we're on that, the annual meeting is coming up on November 4th, Saturday. David Carroll is the keynote speaker, and if you know David, he's the turtle guy who's written several books and lives in Warner, and is really a great guy in terms of he's a great artist, great writer, really into turtles. And there's other, I can pass that around, but if you go on the website, you can sign up, and Bart nicely, I think again this year, we'll support people that want to go, and I think the dues are about $60. So thank you for that part. So you can just sign up, pay for it, and then submit a reimbursement if you want to go. All right. Committee board reports, town council. Brian couldn't be here. I know that the last meeting, they passed the Class A trail for Old Lee Road, so that's now officially a Class A trail, which is awesome. I did join, Steve Fournier hosted a little bit of an online training for the chairs of various boards, so there were about 5 of us, I think, on it, and he talked about right to know, and we talked a lot about, because most of our boards, except for the council, and I don't know about the planning board, may be a little different, but, you know, most of us are, well, we're all volunteers, but we don't have digital space on the town server for our documents, and we don't have town emails, and so we talked about, you know, right to know, but yet we're all using our private laptops or computers, and we have private emails, and is there anything we can do to change that? So I think town staff are looking at ways to create partitions perhaps on the town server so that we could have instead of like I've got like you know, past chairs, we keep passing it along, but it's still on our private, because we have no other place to put it. So it'd be nice if it was all actually on the town server so that it's not on our private
Yeah, I could
laptop.
see it if a question ever came up on a right to know.
Who would you-
It's like 2 computers ago.
Yeah.
And maybe on a hard drive in my house, and like
Right.
they like go through every hard drive in my house.
Right, and I
Where-
know, you know, we're not
like,
at all unusual. I think every
Yeah.
conservation commission, every town in New Hampshire probably, unless you have lots of staff. So that's great. I think that's a real positive movement forward on that. We did talk about emails, and the counselors get town emails, and it's not possible, I guess, I don't know if it's a cost thing, I think, for all of us to have like a town, what I mean by a town email is that the address is newmarketnewhampshire.gov instead of our own all personal emails. So one thing that the Arts and Culture Commission did is that they asked all their members to create a new Gmail account. And so it would say something like their first name and then arts, I don't know what it is, AC Commission or something, and then @gmail.com, and asking that people then use those emails if you're on the board.
Oh,
So it would be, the thing here would be is if we all wanted to do that, we would all decide what they would look like. And then we would all create individual new Gmail addresses.
yeah, that works.
I mean, it's
Still on your computer.
It's still on your, yeah, so that was sort of my question back to Bart, was, okay, you create a separate one, but it's still on our computers, and so if there's a right to know, do they still look at everything? Like, how does that solve that particular problem? And I'm not sure we've figured that out yet, have we? Yeah. Yeah. So we're still kind of sorting through that, but, yeah. Any thoughts on that in terms of, I mean, it's,
I have 3 Gmail accounts already. so
Exactly, I know.
a fourth is
Right.
not a big deal.
yeah, but it's in some ways asking a lot for everybody to then create a new email account. Because when you create one, you have to put in your personal information, so it's still tied to your personal, because we were
Right.
trying to think of, could we do one for the chair and the vice chair, and then each member would have like a number, but when you sign up for one, you still have to put your personal information in, so it's still tied to us individually, so. Anyway, more to come on that, but
Sure.
just so you know, it's
Is that
at least we're,
expensive? Huh? Have more email addresses.
yeah. I guess it's expensive, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think, was there anything else, can you think of anything else, council, does anybody recall anything else? Planning board. Yeah.
As far as the actual planning board business, I don't think there's too much of concern with conservation. We talked about, the zoning downtown, just really having to do with how buildings look, so it doesn't really have anything to do with conservation. The one thing I did bring up at the meeting, though, was land use change tax. And possibly, I didn't really know the format, how to change had to get that changed. I don't know if we could discuss it here, but it was warrant article apparently
Right,
is the way
yeah,
to
it's a
do
warrant
it.
article.
So, but Val Shelton pointed out that there may have been, and I may have missed it, like 5 lots or something like that out on Cushing that were developed, that we should see land use change tax from,
Okay.
if we haven't already seen it. I just don't recall seeing it on the financial report, so I'm not sure if we have. I know sometimes the assessment lagged significantly in the past, for
It
one
does
reason
take
or
a
another.
while. It does take quite a
Yeah.
while to get it in, but I think we might have, while you're talking.
I don't know if she meant
we'll-
5 Cushing or 5 lots on Cushing.
Thank
I
you.
assume you'll be up in, see the planning department.
Yeah, I think there was 5 that were developed,
Oh,
not
5
just,
lots.
not the address 5, Cushing. Farmington, the planning department.
Yeah, I'm just looking for the report that you get from, you can, if you have anything else, keep going.
Not particularly. There was discussion about.
Sorry, I just found it. We did already get those.
Okay.
Yeah, we got
Thank
those
you.
in 22. If
Oh,
it's
yeah,
the same
that was a
ones,
while
there
ago.
were 5. There were 5, and then we got those in 2022.
There was some discussion about the findings regarding Moonlight Brook. Kind of on the side, it wasn't really a point of discussion, it kind of came up through the town council. So they talked about the findings of the professor at UNH, forgive me, I don't remember his name.
Jones, yeah.
Steve Jones' findings.
Mhm.
I don't know if you plan on talking about that later, I don't want
We can bring it up under sort of, yeah, I don't think we have, well, did they talk about findings, actual findings, or that it's?
Not exact numbers, but they did find elevated levels of contamination all the way up as far as they tested.
Yeah.
And then there was there wasn't really much conclusive discussion beyond,
Yeah,
beyond
I
that,
think that's
or a plan of action.
We'll talk about that a little bit under Riverfront next week.
Yeah. But those numbers are there. The one thing that they didn't have yet was the delineation of the sources exactly. So they haven't fully run the DNA testing, whatever testing they're going to do on that. They did find elevated levels
Yeah.
upstream.
Can I go back to the land use change tax? Was the
Yes.
conversation just about potentially existing with the 50% that we get, or was there talk about increasing that? Was that?
So I brought it up, and I didn't know the process exactly. So I was informed of the process, and the planning board doesn't have the power, apparently. They said anyone can bring up
Yeah.
a warrant article. So I didn't push the planning board to
Good, yeah.
try to bring it up.
Support that, yeah.
I figured, I thought that it should come from the Conservation Commission, was kind of my perspective, if it was going to be a town board to do it, and then ask
Yeah.
the planning board for a letter of support type thing, is what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
We could put it on an agenda. We've talked about it sort of informally, but we haven't had it as an agenda item. We can certainly do that, because it's a warrant article that you.
Yeah.
And the land use change tax, as you probably know, can be anywhere from 0 to 100% coming to the Conservation Commission. Right now, it's 50%.
Right, exactly.
Right now, it's what?
We get 50% of the land use change tax.
And with less and less development in town, and we have properties to take care of, the money will run out someday, maybe.
Yeah.
Or run really low. And if we're not getting general funds to maintain properties, the money's got to come from somewhere. So it'd be nice to expand it to 100% if we could, or a higher number. And so would that literally take us to draft something? Would you then submit it to the town council, or do you submit it to the town manager?
Well,
Or do you bring it up at town meeting?
doesn't the town council can support the warrant article? Can you, I don't know, do you know? Bart?
There's a certain process. I think we missed the boat this year, the next year, in this process of, I don't have all the details, but I can get that information to tell you, so.
Does
think-
it have to be submitted by sometime in the
Yes.
summer? Or something?
Yeah.
I think you can do a citizen petition, but we want to do it, obviously
Right.
support it with the boards
Yeah.
internally, so, okay. But we can get ready for next year if we understand that. We should find out if you could find out for us when the dates are, and then we can prepare some materials, because I think we have a case to make of how we've used the funds over the past 20 years, actually, 20 years plus. all of our,
maintenance and purchase of
yeah,
property.
for sure.
Done a lot of.
Yep. Okay, good. Anything for Jeff, questions, planning board stuff? Any update on the 152 project?
No, that was pushed on till the applicant requested that to be pushed on to the next meeting.
I'm sorry, what are we talking about?
The 152 where Grant Road comes out, there's a proposal for a multi-story, what do you call it?
Age-restricted housing.
Age-restricted
Oh,
housing. Yeah.
okay.
Been in the planning board for months now.
Thank you.
Right across the end.
There's no
across
wetland,
the street.
right now there's no wetlands impacts, that's why it hasn't come here.
No, I got
It's
you.
of interest.
And that field right across the
Yeah.
river.
Yeah.
Yeah. No direct wetland
Yeah.
impact that I saw on the list.
Yeah.
I do recuse myself from those discussions and try to keep my distance.
Okay, so Riverfront Advisory Committee, Shanda Park.
It's actually been a pretty light summer for us. We did not meet in July or technically last month either. So there's not an overwhelming amount to report. It can come potentially November. There will be, but yeah, quite a service. Yeah, I mean, I guess if we want to continue the discussion about bacterial tracking, but
Yeah, so I think, as you know, the Lamprey Advisory Committee is funding him to continue the study up at Moonlight Brook this year, and he got as far as the school? Is that how far he got?
yeah,
That-
somewhere maybe like high school.
As far as like the high school? Yeah, so the contamination is, we're not quite sure how far he's gotten, but he's having some issues with access to getting to certain sampling stations above that, or places to sample. So we need to sort of circle back with him and see if we can't help find places he can actually get into with permission from the landowners.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'll reach back out. I know one of the access points is effectively my house, so he can use
Yeah,
my
yeah. So we'll see if we can't push that along. But right, the contamination, I think so far along the whole brook.
Yeah. Where they tested.
Figuring out where the source is.
Yeah, they also did point out that this is historically tested positive, but that almost every single river or stream they tested this year failed due to
The high
the-
water.
due to the runoff and the amounts of rain.
And
so,
just overflows probably.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it might not be a good test year.
Mm.
See,
Oh, where I don't know the answer to that. I don't recall them.
in the
pointing-
Lamprey River watershed anyway? Don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I
more
thought
than
they said,
just-
I thought they said statewide, but I thought that, I don't want to make stuff up either. 'Cause-
Huh.
But, I mean, the general idea is
That's
that the
good,
heavy
right?
rainfall probably has created elevated levels just because
Yes,
there's too much
exactly.
flow.
Increased runoff.
So
Um,
is there an issue for him getting into some of these locations because of private property?
Yeah, because it's a very small, it becomes very small, and
Right.
it's, yeah, there's no public access per se, so we're just trying to figure out where you could get in to sample higher up drainage.
So I guess the question is, has he received pushback from people saying, no, I don't want you
Yeah,
to
we
go on our
don't-
property?
That's I don't know.
We're not sure.
Where it goes upstream past the schools, I think it's called Durrell Woods Open Space, which I think memorialized when they built Durrell Drive and Hunter, where I live. But that's effectively public space as far as I'm aware. But he does, to access that, he would have to park in front of somebody's house, but one of the places he would park is in front of my house, so I'll just make it clear to him and park here to access.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if there's some underlying infrastructure that's leaking into the brook, finding it would be problematic if you've got high runoff, stormwater runoff upstream of it.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah. So this might not be the year to figure that
Might
out.
not.
Exactly. But in light of that, we do know that Moonlight Brook has contamination issues, and so there is some progress in starting to develop some new signage for Shanda Park, a little bit more informative and clear in terms of don't feed the ducks, and just for safety, don't play on the rocks, it's slippery, and maybe you don't want to swim in the water. So Bart, I think Bart, do you want to just say what you're working on in terms of the signage for Shanda Park? Are you working with others, or
Yeah, so.
how are we doing that?
Right now, it's between Al and myself, Farmington Planning Department, and then also the health Evans officer, code enforcement officer. So right now, the idea is Ellen and I would come up with some language, and then from there, we'd ask for the health officer's input from that, and then from there, probably get final confirmation from town manager before any signage is placed there.
Yeah, maybe we could plan for bringing it back here next month so
Sure,
people
yeah.
here can see it, and then
I think it's a good idea.
and the Riverfront Advisory might want to have a look.
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Good, so that's good. That's movement on that. I think that's important. And then the Oyster Garden, so Kim Arlen from the Nature Conservancy, a couple things. We had the Oyster Fest, which I think was after the last meeting. I can't remember. Was it after the last meeting? Yes. Yeah. So myself and Chris Blackstone and Melissa Sharples, we had a little table with some Conservation Commission stuff, a little quiz about trees, and most people were there for the oysters, but we did have some people stop by, including Tom, who did the quiz. I think he aced it, I can't remember. Anyway, it was fun.
With some help, yeah.
It was a beautiful day, and right at the Stonehouse Church and the museum. So we were there for a few hours, and then Kim was down at Kim from Nature Conservancy was down at the Oyster Garden at Shanda Park, and she had a few people come by.
Is there a good bunch of people that came through, or did it get kind of slow?
Small amount.
Okay.
So she has pulled the oyster cages, which they would do now at the end of September, and they have. Look at my email. They have an annual, I guess, event that they host the volunteers who do the oyster gardening in their yards or on their dock, or Durham has it as well. So we are invited, if anyone wants to go. I can forward you the email, but it's October 26th at Liar's Bench Beer Company in Portsmouth. In there. Anyway, they'll present findings and how everybody's done with their cages and so forth. So the oysters that we raised, which I think they were doing pretty well when we looked at them together, Bart and Kim and I looked at them when they, like a few weeks after they went in, and there were lots of fat and doing things. So those will go out into Great Bay and help build the oyster reefs. Okay. Anything else on that? Riverfront? Shanda?
Not this one.
All right. Other committee reports? I don't think we have anybody else for other committees. Okay. All right. So next up is master plan update, the open space chapter. Last month you appointed me to be on that committee, and Stratford Regional Planning Commission that's working with the town was going to be here, but they had another obligation. So Bart is going to tell us a few things. Thank you. Yeah, please, if people get up and, get up and get your cider and cookies. Help yourself.
Yeah. So Bart McDonough, Planning Director, Town Newmarket. So today we're supposed to have some guests with us, Stratford Regional Planning Commission, but due to scheduling and other circumstances, no one from the commission could show up. So they provided this document for us to go over, and within there, what you'll find is some maps and a section of the current land use, not land use, open space plan, a matrix within that, which are established goals that that the town decided to pursue. So what we're doing, this is the first step of the master plan update. Master plan is the guiding document, for those that don't know, for the town to use for a bunch of reasons, either land development, conservation, cultural art goals. So a lot of different chapters that revolve around a community, what a community should be striving to achieve. So this chapter is dedicated to open space. And Ellen, I think, was contracted last time to help the town when she was in the commission to help them, help us conserve open space and kind of guide the town in open space and conservation and preservation activities. So what we are assigned, or we're going to try to do today, is one, establish a time where we all can meet. I'm not sure if it's the next Conservation Commission meeting or some time in between for us all to come together and kind of review the maps that SRPC provided, which is in your packet I just handed out, and go over that matrix and what have we accomplished so far in that matrix. And probably a conversation ensuing is what do we want to add to the matrix. So I'm not sure, we don't have to go over that tonight, but I think it would be good just to, until that next meeting, have the commission look. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. And prepare for that meeting, just go over this, see, what have we done? How have we progressed since 2007? And I also have the PDF too, so, you don't have to strain your eyes tonight looking at these maps. So basically, yeah, their ask for the next time we meet is to review the maps for accuracy and provide general comments about the maps. So basically, are we missing any information? Are they accurate? What would you like to put onto it?
So these maps are new, they created these new
Correct. Yep.
recently, so supposedly it's the most recent information.
Yep.
Oh, very cool.
Exactly, yep. And then, in addition to that, the LRS is compile notes on progress towards implementing each of the recommendations in 7. And or have not been. So the idea is to, estimate based on the goals that were established in 7. And then from that baseline, we can have conversations on where the town wants to go from there. From those goals. So, any questions so far?
So for the next meeting, we need to be able to talk about stuff that, either questions about what's in the matrix or stuff that perhaps should be added or
Yeah.
expanded if needed or something.
Exactly. So
Okay.
looking at the matrix, kind of basically, so some people have been here longer than others. What have we accomplished so far? Goals that we haven't accomplished that are, maybe can be removed from the list. Maybe will continue to be pursued. I mean, one of them was already here, is about the land use tax, change tax. So to change that. So that was something established in 2007 that we still need to work on. So
You say you do have a PDF of this?
I do have a PDF. So I sent it to Alan already, but I just so
Oh, I got you.
yeah. But we'll distribute to all the commission members.
Cool, thank
Yeah.
you.
Can you print out like 11 by 17 or something of the maps?
Yep.
Yeah. Just a thought on the maps, I know some of the areas of ecological significance and then the conservation focus areas, there was a new coastal plan that the Nature Conservancy did like last year, and so I don't know.
Is that what that's from?
I think this is from the older coastal plan, but anyway, this is just stuff we can talk with you
Yep.
and Jackson, I assume, made
Correct.
the maps, yeah. So we could chat to see if, and then, does trails fit under this open space plan, or is that a different plan?
I think that can be in there. I think you can cross-pollinate
Okay.
between chapters, which I think would be helpful.
Okay.
So one for recreation chapter, so open space as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have our pathways, which we're trying to integrate.
Exactly.
So maybe we could do a map of the trail
Yep.
stuff.
Trails, yeah. Yeah, this is exactly the comments that they're going to be looking for, like,
Yeah.
map.
Yeah.
see some things missing from some of these maps.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's why, looking at, do you want to forward that? You want me to forward it to the commission, or do you want to forward the email so everybody has?
I'll forward the email,
Everybody.
the PDF, and then I think the best, and I'll write this in the email too, so that you just submit comments to me, just so we don't create a quorum.
Yeah, I think I know, the conservation lands data layer is always not quite up to date, so we can provide some updates on that. Drinking water map.
There's a well, a new well not on there. I think, right, the one out.
Yeah, there's a new
Well,
well.
yeah, that was it. Tucker?
Didn't Peter
I can
Stecker
touch.
do updated conservation lands?
Yeah, so we probably have that layer from him. We could forward that to
We'll
Jack.
forward that.
Yeah,
Good.
Prime wells.
yeah, like Tucker, yeah, the Gaziano
right.
is not.
They're not on.
Right, so prime wetlands, yeah. Maybe more, yeah.
Is the floodplain, are the floodplain protection overlay districts updated to the newly released maps?
Probably, so I think the latest one's 21, I think, if I remember right. Actually, I'm looking at today,
Yeah.
so yeah, so that could be updated.
Just make sure
Just
they're-
confirm, yeah.
Or confirmed, yeah. Yeah, they're on the same map.
Yeah, it's interesting, if you look at the zoning overlay, the shoreland protection and the floodplain protection overlays, they kind of get smushed together there in the Piscassic River drainage. That's because I guess the floodplain is wider, so it is wider than the floodplain, must be,
Yeah,
which
because
would make sense.
thing is, that's just the designated river shoreline protection to, what is that, 500 foot or 250 foot buffer? I think that they're showing there, the shoreline.
Right, so that's a set distance, whereas the
250,
floodplain
yeah.
is obviously,
Whatever the floodplain
yeah,
is.
moves around.
Yeah, that floodplain may need to be updated. It
That's
might be
coming right off
accurate.
the,
You
that's
know,
coming
it's-
right off the FEMA maps, right?
Yeah, it's going off the
Yeah.
FEMA map, so
Yeah,
I was
that
just
does-
looking at one section today, and maybe it's just, this is too small and I can't see, so just have to put it
Yeah.
to scale, but we'll definitely
Yeah.
have them.
It's interesting, the wellhead, I didn't realize the wellhead protection area expanded all the way to 108, down into Fields, and my house.
Yeah, that is, because it used to be when we got water out of Falls Brook, was when I first came on, that was still potentially a source, and so it was pretty much, almost the entire town was part of the forest water protection, but what is the current wellhead protection?
Two?
Number 2.
Yep.
So if you look at number 2, the red cross hatching, it's a very funky, one is because Shanda Drive, they have a community well.
Right.
So there's a circle around that, but the wellhead protection for the town well looks very large.
That's the Shannon Drive.
That's the Shanda Drive, they have a community well. I don't know why there's 2, but, do they have 2 wells up there?
Yeah, I can give you a little bit on this. I'm not a hydrogeologist, but I know enough to be dangerous about it. So if it looks like around the Shanda Drive one, and then at the one on the north part of town by Dame Road, the reason it's a nice tight circle around the wellhead, there's a direct radius that gets protected around the well itself.
400, I think.
400
Yeah.
feet, 400
Uh-huh.
foot circle, so that's why you see like a very defined circle on that. Then the squiggles, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
that radiate out are basically just the expected zone of influence to that well through the sand and gravel, basically.
It almost looks like an aquifer.
Yeah, through their
Yeah.
superficial geology. So it's basically a best guess at this is the area that contributes.
A recharge area is basically. So, I mean, the benefit of that is that that's how you get grants to protect more land within
Right.
those recharge areas, because
That's
if you
correct.
have it on your map, then you'll score, can score well on getting more, to protect more drinking water, which I think is a great priority. Great, thank you for that,
What does our
Sam.
zoning say about wellhead protection area?
We don't really have a provision, it's more of a state. Nothing I can recall off the top of my head. We have aquifer protection.
Right, that's
Yeah.
what I remember seeing,
Yeah.
but not wellhead.
Yeah, maybe it's within there, I have to double check, but not a specific chapter dedicated to wellhead.
Usually it's very restricted within
Yeah.
the 400 foot, but
Yeah.
very less so within the other
Right.
area. And again, I don't forget what New Hampshire calls them. In Massachusetts, zone 1 is your wellhead protection area, your 400 foot, and zone 2 is the rest. There's different restrictions in each category.
So it's a large part of town.
Right, but I think more to Sam's point is that 400.
No, yeah, no, I
Yeah.
know. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
much all that truly matters.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you want to pick a date, like just have a straw poll right now. Would you rather wait to the next Conservation Commission meeting, or would you like to try to sneak a meeting in between now and then to meet specifically? It would be meet specifically on this, or
So-
just wait for another meeting? To the other meeting, I should say.
Our next meeting is November 9th. So is there are there other people on the committee, or
Yeah,
are the
so-
ones providing the input to this
So,
chapter?
yeah, so right now it'd be conservation, but we could invite some out of the master plan subcommittee.
Okay,
So we can make it more, comprehensive from
Okay.
right now we already have so many meetings, but, that's okay, we don't have to do it that way. We can also wait till the next meeting, and then, I could also invite them to come to the next conservation commission meeting as well, so.
because people's schedule is busy, my guess is it,
Just wanted to
ask for
next meeting.
recommendations, but just meet at the next meeting and have a longer, we'll set aside time to have, people can review it and provide comments to Barb, but then we have a bigger conversation at
Great.
the next meeting. Give people time to dig into this. Does that make sense to people?
And so you'd want to be getting comments in prior to that, perhaps?
Yes, please.
Yeah, we think that
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
sense, yeah.
okay.
I
Yep.
won't be at the next meeting, so I'll try to
Okay.
provide comments.
Great. And, yeah, and I think if you think there's other maps or different maps, I think that's,
All right, so yeah,
I
it's
think we
kind of
mentioned
a
that-
blank canvas in a way, we do have some templates here, but if you want some kind of configuration for maps, this is the time to do it.
nice.
Yeah, all right, great, so we'll revisit this item at the next Conservation Commission meeting, in November. And I will send a follow-up meeting email tomorrow, just outline what we're looking for again, just iterate what was said here tonight, and send you the PDF version of this document.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what do other towns have for open space? Like, I know the way this was done was the open space plan was just like inserted, but do we have other, like, we might want to look at other towns, what they've done for open
Yeah,
space?
I can do
planning?
that. What I can do is provide links to other
Examples would
towns,
be-
what they do,
Yeah.
what they have for open space. I think that's a good idea, so
Yeah.
I will, I'll do that. I'll provide some examples.
I think that would be
Yeah.
helpful. It's good to see what other people have come up with.
Sure.
And do we have a time frame for when what you're shooting for, like a draft of the open space chapter?
Yeah, I don't have it right now. I'll tomorrow, but we do have kind of a Gantt chart going on when we expect to have chapters completed, at least draft form. So this is the first one that we're going to work on as we move through the next year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would say probably early winter, early spring, we try to get a draft.
Okay, and this eventually goes to the planning board for
Correct.
adoption, right?
Yeah, so we'll go to the master plan committee, off on it, and then plan board, eventually we'll have to adopt it. So still don't know how they're gonna make those final adoptions, if it's gonna be one at once, chapter, but that's still being worked out. But at least there'll be some kind of final draft, I would say, by, early '24
Okay. And in your email tomorrow, can you?
for this chapter.
Just say who's on the master plan committee, like who's on the?
Yep, sure, and I'll
members?
include them too in that email.
Yeah.
Just so they're aware of what happened this evening. And, yeah, and we're still adding some members too, looking to add some members. So if anyone's interested who's, what?
Great.
Because of, not on a commission, board, involved as well. I think that'd be super helpful.
And just to be sort of clear about some things, how does the riverfront, sort of those conversations about the charrette next year and the whole riverfront thing fit into is that incorporated in the open space plan, or that's going to be incorporated some other way?
Yeah, so they're going to help us out. I think we probably add, that's more, the charrette, I would say, is more designed for the riverfront area. But I don't think that necessarily means that information drawn from that can't be inserted into the open space master plan.
Or
That's
vice
why,
versa,
yeah,
is my guess.
exactly,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Is the intent still to have, I feel like at some point, correct me if I'm wrong, there was some discussion about maybe like having a parks chapter or something in the master plan?
yeah, I think when we were first deliberating how to approach this, was like, do we have like a, like for the riverfront,
Yeah.
do we have like a kind of master plan for the riverfront area, not necessarily master plan. It's kind of its own document. And I think we ended up deciding is having the riverfront mentioned in certain chapters.
Okay.
So I think the way, because there's only so many chapters you can have by state statute within the master plan. You can't like create, you can be flexible, but you can't really create like a uniquely. So so this is why the riverfront, I think, will kind of touch upon different chapters, probably open space, recreation, and also community facilities. You know, you could say that area is a facility. Broad. Oh, the riverfront will be, I think, mentioned throughout that, throughout the master plan chapters. And again, that's why we'll still have it in draft form, I think, open space. At that time, timeline for the charrette is May, June right now, depending on availability from Play New Hampshire. Yeah.
Great. Any other questions for Bart?
It's interesting that on this list here of recommendations is dedicate 100% of the land use change tax
Yeah,
to the town
that's what I
conservation
mentioned,
fund. Been working on that one for a while.
Yeah, we're on that one. Yeah.
We'll get it in there.
Yeah.
Great.
Great.
The tax lien properties thing is very interesting too, because years ago we walked properties that the town
Yeah.
owned as the Conservation Commission, like out behind and adjacent to Leda Lane.
Leda Lane is a whole pond.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're still, like,
I don't even know.
I wasn't chair at the time, so I don't remember what drove that effort and the reason we walked the boundaries of it and viewed the properties, but there's at the time, the town did own, either through taxation takings or however they got them, lands that were like in a subdivision over there that are just water, essentially, or wetland, very
Wetland.
wet.
Yeah. That weren't.
No, I think the town got them through tax,
Yeah.
through tax lien, as noted here, tax lien properties. Yeah, that's what I don't recall. This was like probably 14
Yeah,
years
no,
ago
no,
now,
no.
like in 2011 or something like that, or, sorry, that's 12 years ago, but, yeah, like a while ago. So I don't remember exactly why, but the Conservation Commission had some reason that the town either asked us to, or the town said you're in charge of open space properties that the town owns. I just thought of that when we were looking at this and remembered that.
That's
When it comes to
historically, a
land
lot of towns
stewardship,
actually
it's
got
like-
properties through tax
Mhm.
liens, like conservation land. Might be something to check, I don't know, that would be.
Yeah, I'll definitely check into
with
that.
the
That's the
town,
first I heard.
Town clerk on that.
Yeah. The other thing that comes to mind is the Falls Brook,
Right.
you know.
I have that on the agenda, actually, to talk about that.
So mention that during this
Yeah.
chapter would be fantastic. And just to iterate the importance of the master plan chapter, it really helps us with grant opportunities, because when you're referencing this document, you're providing a rational basis, justification for, why the municipality is applying for this. It shows them that this is what the town wants. Town voted for this. So that's why it's important to get it right and make sure it's everything that the commission recreation. So, so the more voices we can get, I think the better too. That'll help guide the commission and the committee, subcommittee, develop this chapter. So,
Great, we're happy you're starting with the open space.
yeah.
Thank you, Bart.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bart.
Thank you, Bart.
That might be your hat over there. Is that your hat over there?
it is, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. All right, great. Conservation easement monitoring, anything to say about that, Tom?
Sure. So, the last meeting, Jeff and Julie took the monitoring folder for Bald Hill. And tonight, David and Sam took their properties to do. Those are Smith Sisters and Piscassic Loisel. Now, I know that Steve Walker was coming out to do Wigan Farm. I mean, he came out pretty quickly, didn't he?
Yeah, so, so the state monitors Wigan Farm, we own it, and the town owns
Dearborn.
it, and the state holds, the fishing game holds an easement. And then Dearborn Fishing Game holds an easement on that. The town owns it. So he, I know Steve, he emailed me one day and said, I'm coming out tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, well, that's a little short notice, but I figured, okay, I could go, so. I ended
thank
up-
you for
I ended
doing
up
that.
just going with him, and Dearborn was fine. He had no issues. He did the report and like sent it right along, so that got submitted. I think I forwarded that to you. And then Wigan Farm, he actually hasn't submitted the report yet.
Okay.
I don't think I've seen that. We've seen that yet.
I don't remember getting the Dearborn report. I'll look. I'm sure if
Okay.
you sent it,
I'll
I've
check
got
on
it.
that.
But
No, I'm not
I'll check
always,
again.
I'm not always on.
Thank you.
For sure on top of that, so.
And we heard a bit from Deborah Gord, but for Hilton and Nostrum. But I don't know, is she doing it or?
I don't know, you should probably,
I'll,
it's
I'll fi-
Amanda. Amanda's the one who I think,
Amanda.
yeah,
That's right.
is the one who works for Deborah Gord.
Right.
Let me check with Steve on both of those other ones. But he didn't have any problem with Wigan Farm either,
Okay.
as far as I remember.
And so I guess these, when I get the monitoring reports back, then I'll be forwarding them to LCHIP and DES
Right.
as appropriate, so we can get some dollars from
Right.
LCHIP. But
Yeah.
I'm assuming this all needs to be done by the end of the year.
It's supposed to be, yeah. for sure.
And I guess as long as we get them done before it snows.
Right. I think most of us do them in November,
November's
December, when the
a
leaves
good
drop.
time to do it, yeah.
Just wear orange. I know it's hunting season.
Oh, Chris Wells had me wear a hat with deer antlers. He said it would keep
Is
me
that
safe.
why you don't work there anymore? On
Doe
that,
season,
What's that?
during doe season.
Yeah, oh,
You wear one
absolutely.
of
Oh, yeah,
those,
doe
you're good to
season,
go,
yeah.
right?
some
Yeah, make sure
perfume, little
they
perfume.
won't shoot you if you got antlers.
That's right, it's doe season.
It made me think, though, back to the conversation about storage of digital documents. The town's working on that. We do have hard copy files down here, but Bart and I did talk about if we have like official documents, like a contract, like we have the signed contract with Self, that some of those kind of things, we can have a copy here, but the originals should be in Bart's office. So
Yeah.
you're going to find a little space for us up in your office, I think, right? Yeah, so even maybe like we might want to think about the monitoring reports if we want. If there's an original that would go up there, but we have a copy down here, just so there are some sort of original documents that
Okay.
are hard copy that probably should go.
Didn't we do the SELT contract? Wasn't the original go to the town manager?
Well, so that was the thing, it's actually in the town manager's office, but Bart's our staff person, and it's probably better that it's in the planning
Very
office.
good,
So it's
yeah.
just a matter of where.
Well,
these
we'd only
documents-
done that because Lisa had
Yeah.
signed it, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're talking
Yeah.
the same thing.
yeah. I think it's any documents, official documents we have
To
will
go to Bart,
in the
yeah.
planning office. Yeah,
Very good, cool.
great. Thank you, Tom. All right, land stewardship. So Wigan Farm, now that Sliding Rock is done, moving on to Wigan Farm kiosk, as you recall, it completely fell apart, essentially. And so I've been thinking about the Wigan Farm, we've talked about the Wigan Farm kiosk a little bit, and I really liked, Jeff, a while back, you suggested that, we don't really need a roof on kiosks anymore because the signs are so waterproof and so, the color, they don't fade. And so, you know how we have, the entrance signs are just 2 4x4 posts across pieces, and the signs mounted. So my thought, and see what you guys think, is to just use 4x4s, and 2 cross pieces, and just have caps like we have. Those are actually copper, but we'll see if you want to do the same way. And then the sign would just be 1 panel, and essentially would be mounted on the cross pieces, and it would sit just inside. So you have the 2 posts, and the panel would fit. So the panel, if we did like and I've been playing with some designs, if we did like a 36 by 42, so the post would be essentially 42 inches apart, and the sign would fit just inside that.
Okay.
And I've gotten some quotes from the people that we've been working with. So a few months ago, I can't remember when the date is here, we approved up to $500 for the kiosk construction. And if we go with that, just simple design, that's more than enough money for that. So we've already approved that. If we want Greg DeSantos to do a property map like he's done, he did them for Heron Point and he did the one for Sliding Rock, so we start to get a consistent trail map. I think his are very good. And then Kathy Erikellian is the graphic designer who takes whatever we give her and she makes it all look really nice. And they're all starting to look, again, the panels are starting to look similar because of the design.
That map out at Sliding Rock is really good. It's like incredibly informative, but very clear and simple.
Yeah, where the
You can
water
see everything. You don't have
Yeah.
to squint and look. And
Yeah, they're very good. So, and then printing of the sign at Portsmouth Signs. So in the new requests on the finance page, so I contacted Greg, and he said he thought he could do it for $600 for making the sign, the property and the trail map. I think there would be a locust map and then the trail map, because the trail is a much smaller piece of the overall property, but we kind of want to show the property. He said 600, so I suggested 700, just, you never know if it's a little more. Kathy Erikellian said 700, so I put 800. And then Portsmouth Sign said 200, 250, which seems low because they charge us a lot for the Sliding Rock. So I'm not quite sure why that, but maybe prices of aluminum have come down. Maybe prices have come down. So if you, and what I would do is, again, what I've done is I'd submit material to Kathy and Greg, and they produce it, and then it comes back here, and we, agree to the design and so forth. So happy to have more discussion about that, or thoughts, and whether you think that would work, or, and in terms of where it would go, it used to be you park, and it was like right there, or in, and nobody went by it. People go this way, and so nobody goes 10 steps to look at the kiosk.
right.
So I thought it should be over by near where the bridge is, a little bit back, but you have to walk right by it. And if it's this way on the right side, it's not blocking sort of the view. Does
Yeah,
that sort of make sense?
suits me.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah. See if people like the concept.
Yeah, no, I definitely like the concept. I was thinking of where the sign is, like the back of the signs to the road, and you come down the road, you can just see the back of the sign off.
I don't think you, like, if it's
Oh,
over by
'cause
the
the
bridge,
bushes, the
there's so
shrubs.
much vegetation there, you
Shrubbery,
actually
yeah.
don't see anything.
Yeah.
But you do see it when you come back, you do see the back of the entrance sign, but that doesn't look good.
You could always paint the back of it green.
Yeah, you
It'd look
could.
weird in the winter.
Yeah.
Would the overall map show like Nostrum and Tuttle Swamp as well?
I think it would be nice to have sort of a locust map, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of shows that it's
Right.
connected to other conservation areas.
Yeah.
Right across the street,
Right.
Hilton is right there. It's kind of like a corridor
Yeah,
almost.
I think that would be good.
Even Sliding Rock does a good job of showing
Yeah, the general.
what's near,
Mhm,
what's around it.
yeah. Yeah, okay. So if that sounds good, we could just do it, let's see, 15, 250, that's $750. We could say up to $2,000 for doing it so that we don't have to sort of figure out the exact cost for each of the contractors at
Yeah.
this point? Would that
You
be
need
fair?
a motion of
I would need a motion
up to
to,
$2,000
For
for
the
this,
kiosk and panel,
for the kiosk. And
I guess it's just for the interpretive panel because we've already budgeted 500 for the kiosk.
no, I move that you be able, that Ellen be able to go up to $2,000 for the kiosk and signage at Wigan Farm.
All right, from the conservation fund.
From the Conservation Fund.
All right, does that sound
Sounds great.
good? All right, second? David? Looking at David just so we... Aye, further, okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. Awesome. Great, I don't think, I'm trying to think if there's anything else for Wigan Farm. Oh, I just drove by and they started mowing the field. So, just again, wanted to say thanks to DPW for their partnership. It's really great that they mow the trails and they mow the field in the fall. Really great. And it's sort of dry, so they can probably get it done. Fallets Brook. So I put this, I think we've talked about this, that out at Fallets Brook, we have Piscassic River Loisel, the town owns, and then Audubon has a piece to the west. And then there's a piece on Carolyn Drive, which was part of when that subdivision was put in, Maston Drive, Carolyn Drive, that came to the town. And is basically supposed to be open space, but no one's never been really designated Conservation Commission, or so no one's, it's just there. And then there's Waterworks land, it was originally called a Waterworks Department, I think, or whatever they were called, back in the 30s or 10s or 20s, got land along Falls Brook because that was the water source for the town. And then beyond that, there's 2 or 3 properties that we got through the open space bond that were maybe going to be ball fields, but that was rocky and not flat, so that was never probably a good location. And so what we've talked about is bring all those under one, maybe not Piscassic River Loisel because that has a separate easement, but the other ones bring under one sort of Falls Brook conservation area and making sure we know the boundaries. We have some good surveys, and the Waterworks is really old, like by somebody's field and then turn right to somebody else's field, very old deeds. But and then we would perhaps do lot line adjustments and make it one parcel if that's feasible, because none of them have conservation easements or anything, so they're just owned by the town. There's no restrictions.
Lot mergers.
Lot merger, yeah. Lot
What's the
merger.
term? A merger?
Lot merger, so that
Or-
we have one, and then we can,
Voluntary merger, sorry, not lot merger.
and then before or after we do that, we could have some public gatherings with people that live out there in the town and say what would we like to do out there in terms of maybe trails, and maybe we would hire someone to do like a natural resource inventory to tell us what's out there, and where existing, wetlands and trails and stone walls and interesting places. So the first step is really just to go out and do a reconnaissance of the boundaries with the existing boundary surveys that we have. And I know Tom is interested in doing that.
Yeah.
And I thought, if December when the ground's frozen but no snow, like a really good time to do it. So is anybody else interested in going out and wandering around out there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Wow, yeah.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just wait and see how the weather is, and then we'll just post it as because however many people want to come is fine, and then if other people want to join us, that's totally fine as well.
But even if we have enough people, we could start out different directions.
Yeah, and see if we actually meet.
Hopefully meet somewhere.
Right, yeah.
Instead
So-
of everybody covering the same ground.
Yeah. And I have this app on my phone, it's called Landglide. You ever use Landglide? It actually has every boundary of every property in the country. So it's actually really accurate. So if you have it on your phone and if you're standing on the boundary, there'll be a little blue dot, just like Google Maps, like Google. And you can actually walk the boundary that way. So you can match that with, if you actually have the boundary survey with the compass, make sure that.
I have an app on mine, it's for hunters.
Yeah.
On your X Hunt, something like on X
Yeah,
Hunt.
there's a lot of those now that they're actually really accurate. Yeah, so we'll maybe shoot for early December sometime.
Yeah,
That-
sounds great.
hopefully Yeah,
I'll put a little caution out, and I'll
Yeah.
really quickly tell from, I was at a land surveyor seminar recently where two Division of Forest Rangers presented, law enforcement officers,
oh, yeah?
and who investigate timber trespass. And some people have cut trees based on
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
onyx, I think, or
Was it-
something like that.
Yeah.
And they got in some trouble for
Oh,
timber
interesting.
trespass. Because it's essentially they collect the tax map data from all the
That's
different
all it
towns.
is
Yeah,
tax
well,
map.
Yeah, and then they
I
plot
know.
it, so.
Yeah.
And tax maps can be really
Absolutely.
wrong. I mean,
Surveyor, I caution folks.
No, I understand that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's to give you an idea.
Yeah.
It's to give you an idea, but not comfort.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
open land without other markers or evidence.
Yeah.
would be some serious
No,
I think the Carolyn Drive, there's a big stone wall, and then the two on the other side, I think you guys did the survey, there's really good surveys.
I've personally
Yeah,
surveyed
There's
out
really
there
good survey,
quite a
it's the
bit.
waterworks land that has the really old, descriptions, but that's where we need to sort of figure out, like, what do we need to have a resurvey? Some of those kind of.
Probably from like 2000.
and have some monuments.
1999-ish. I think they're that old, right? But when Doucette Survey surveyed
Yeah,
out
the
there,
other ones, yeah.
I think it was.
The waterworks were never surveyed, they're like in the year 1930.
On the right, like out the old road where they were
Yeah.
gonna put a well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we surveyed all out in there.
Yeah.
But not boundary, I don't think we produced a boundary survey
Yeah.
plan back then.
Well, you might have some, so we might, yeah.
But we
So
have,
anyway,
we did recover a bunch of evidence out there.
Yeah, okay.
Iron pipes and fence lines.
all right. Yeah, so
Sketches.
prior to that, we'll gather whatever thing we have and figure it out.
That's right.
There is one, it's just interesting, if you look at go to the tax maps now, and there's two Carolyn Drive properties, it says, so there's development, people live on there. There's one Carolyn Drive here, and there's one Carolyn Drive here, and they both indicate that they came through the subdivision process. But this one is waterworks. It's actually waterworks land, and it comes right up to Master Drive, or Carolyn Drive. So that's why we want to do this, is we have land that the town owns that nobody knows that we own it, and it's like a huge parcel.
Do we visit the small parks out there?
No,
The small,
No.
like we did way back when we
Leary,
went and looked at those.
Rousseau.
Because once you cross, or I mean, like, once you cross over the bridge there on the left, there's a little piece of conservation property.
Those little ones?
Yeah, there's one there, and then
tiny
there's
ones?
one on Riverbend.
So
out
I
on
had the
Riverbend.
interns, this summer, remember, I
Oh,
had
yeah.
8 interns, and we went to one. It's so overgrown with invasive plants,
Yeah.
and they're so small. At some point, we should discuss those, and maybe that should be, we should put that in the open space plan, because we need to figure out what to do with those. They're just so small.
The only time we did anything with them that I can remember on the commission is we walked the one at Maston, right
Yeah.
there on the left,
Yeah.
when the neighbor had some trees leaning
Yeah.
toward there, and then when a big tree fell on the one on Riverbend, we had to get it all cleaned up out there,
So
but
these are little parcels that came in when that subdivision was done, and the developer gave these little tiny, they're like 0.6 acres, not even 0.6 acres,
they're
small.
like the little house lots
Yeah.
that they,
And they have these beautiful signs that the commission did, but then if you don't do anything, everything is completely kind of getting overgrown.
one of them is basically access down to the Piscassic.
Yeah, I know.
Right across from Piscassic Loisel.
Yeah, like a bridge.
You could even put a footbridge, yeah, so I was
There
gonna
you
say,
go,
you could put a
footbridge.
footbridge across to get directly from that drive over to.
Anyway, it sounds like that all stuff might go in the open space plan as recommendations. Think about all that. So, all right, great. All right, other projects, Boulder Drive, Trail, Colin.
All right, so I have two things I wanted to go over quickly. Let's start with the Boulder Drive. Bart, glad you're here. So Bart and I met with the HOA, the Homeowners Association Chair and officers, if you will, and got permission to upgrade the trail between Lamprey Street and Dame Road. And so we're sort of, we haven't really talked about this other than some ideas on what we would do to improve the trail. The landowners, the HOA representatives We're fine with pretty much everything we talked about doing, which is relocating a little bit of the trail because of a erosion issue. And Ellen was with me out there one day as well. We looked at that and talked about that. So I think the latest I've got from them is they'll approve any updates we want to do and any redesign. They're not going to pay for it, but they're interested in seeing it done, which I think is great. We also talked to them about the possibility of extending that trail from at the juncture where the access from the Lamprey Street makes a left to go to Dame Road. You go right, they own property that brings you out to Bay Road. So we were looking at that as a possibility to try to connect Heron Point trails with access going all the way out, crossing Bay Road through the John, is it Steer?
Yeah.
Yeah, S-T-E-E-R property. That was the old, what was the landowner there?
Parker and
Leslie Parker.
Leslie Parker.
I forget his name, yeah. And so I spoke with John today. He's not really comfortable because I believe they're putting the house on the market for sale, and that may not be for a year or two. So he didn't really want to give us permission to try to figure that out to go through his property. He likes the idea, but he thinks maybe the future landowner might be somebody that we should be communicating with and try to do it at that point. The HOA, their response to me was they're not really wanting people to walk through their backyard. Even though I think what we looked at as an option, we would be able to do a little bit of fencing as a blinder, so they wouldn't be seeing people walk through there. I think it might just be us improving the existing trail and then come back to them at some point to talk about potentially doing that if we get permission from whoever buys the property that we potentially could make a trail out to Heron Point Trails. I think it'd be a great opportunity, but I think that's going to sit for a year or two before they sell the property. So the question I have now is, if we want to start looking at improving that trail, is it something we want to do sooner rather than later to take advantage of that? I don't think they're waiting for us or expecting us to do it anytime soon, but it might also be something that if we have funding to do it, maybe get going with cutting some of the trees out. And they're not going to be big trees, they're small trees, to really reset the path now. And then either do something in the fall when all the leaves are down, or wait until next year to do it. The question I had is, do we have any sort of cost per foot for doing trails that you have already done? You know, with depth, and what it would cost to put stone and gravel, on top of it.
Oh, no, I don't think we have any. I don't think we have any cost. We could probably get those. Are you thinking of, I know there's that one area you wanted to reroute, like you mentioned, stone, on how much of the trail are you thinking? They call it hard pack.
Yeah.
Hard pack rather than muck.
Right. I think there probably is, and I can measure it out and come back with that, but, I'm saying it's probably maybe 400 or 500 feet of trail that would need that. And it would probably need to be 6 inches deep, thick. And I don't know what a trail typically is, but maybe 8 feet wide. So, I mean, it doesn't need to be that wide, but, you know, I think if we have an idea of what the cost would be to do that, I think it is something that, and Bart, you might be able to address this if the town would be interested in manpower to do that, or if we'd have to contract that out or volunteer it.
Typically with these types of tier-based and then maybe some, town assistance as well.
Yep.
Whole
I mean, I don't think it would need to be. I mean, there's some sections where the roots are up maybe 3 or 4 inches, and that will need to be covered. But the far Dame Road section could probably get away with wood chips, would be fine.
Right. Yeah, so. Identify.
And measure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, for like Heron Point and, Rick Malasky, DPW, he can, if we know what we want, he can deliver.
Yeah.
He might have it
Material.
on site, he might have it in the pit, or he can tell us where to get it.
So for 500 feet, 6 inches deep, 8 feet wide, call anybody, whatever, they want.
Yeah, they call
It's
it,
just the cost, itself, get it out.
Right.
they dump it somewhere.
Day, like, multi-day. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
later.
Maybe I'll grab you, and Ellen, I don't know if you want to go out again as well, but Bart, grab you for, an hour or two and just go take a walk on it.
Yeah, I think we should just, like,
Yeah.
where do we really need it? Where, to be more stop, say,
Yeah.
more
Right.
so than, maybe there's some tree roots that, are dying. Maybe we are, or could be a nuisance, for tripping.
I mean, I don't think we necessarily want to make it a highway. That would be kind of nice to have wheelchair accessibility, but I don't know if we're looking for that
Yeah,
either.
that's a little different, yeah.
Yeah, totally different.
Well,
So,
are bicycles allowed on that, or not encouraged at all, or?
Bike on there, but I don't,
it's not very long,
Yeah.
so, I mean, I think people, maybe some kids will ride some bikes through there, but
yeah, you would know. So you walk it every day almost.
I do.
You see,
And I
yeah.
never see bikes
Yeah.
out there. I've never seen
Yeah.
them, so.
Yeah, maybe just, sketch out the proposal, the design and cost, and then, it might be good to have, do you think we need something in writing from the Boulder community to say it's okay to do this work on it, or is already a town, because it's actually on the,
Subdivision plan.
yeah.
So, get that, but
I have a text from
Yeah.
the chair of the
Okay.
HOA saying,
Yeah.
we're good with what we looked at.
Okay,
and we just confirm with them this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Which doesn't vary from what you're proposing right
yeah,
now.
okay,
Yeah.
sounds good,
Awesome.
great,
Okay, I'll follow up on that and keep you posted.
all right.
Or just iterate, the map, like for trails will be really touch upon that. Identify those trails that we want to, and
Yeah,
so just another plug for it.
You mean the one potentially to get out to the Heron?
Yeah,
Point?
or it's more of like a goal would be identify new trail opportunities to promote connectivity throughout town for recreational purposes and alternative
it
transportation.
can even be, because I know like Land Trust will do this, just like thank you, like a fat arrow, just to say, generally we want to go from here to here, but we don't, we're not saying exactly where the path.
Or it's more like we're looking to connect,
Yeah,
know,
kind of thing.
blocks.
Yeah,
Us.
right.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I was looking at and working on evaluating is the infrastructure in town and using what they call the New Hampshire Aquatic Restoration Mapper, and thinking that if there's infrastructure in the town that needs to be replaced to appropriately sized structures, this is an opportunity to go out there and get grant funding if we have some backup that the state has kind of put into their system of infrastructure that's vulnerable. So this is, again, the mapper. If anybody is interested and has a chance, jump online and take a look at it. It's a great tool. I've downloaded all the data for Newmarket, and I'll end up playing with that, get it into shape to look at identifying what infrastructure is vulnerable at what flood event, so to speak. I'm also working on developing the grant list that would give us an opportunity if we found something that we thought was appropriate and the town agrees to it, that go after funding. My experience working with TU to do this has been, I've been able to probably raise in the neighborhood of 80% in grant funding, with 20% coming from the town.
Great.
And it could be even more than that, depending. So anyway, that's what I'm working on. If anybody has any questions or input at any point, feel free to reach out to me and let me know. And hopefully over the next week or two, I'll get that data into a format, into a spreadsheet that we could take a look at and see if there's infrastructure that really needs to be replaced. I have a feeling, Bart, do you know if the town has looked at that already?
No, not aware of right now if we have or not, but I can circle up with some of my colleagues and see.
Great.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up to that. So I'm just thinking, we're just talking about the open space plan, and this is totally the pathways for nature, right? The aquatic pathways. Can we think about putting this in the open space plan?
Absolutely, yeah.
This information?
Yeah.
I
I
think-
think this would be really great,
Yeah.
like super great in the
Yeah.
open space plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question about the map, though. How come the Lamprey River's called the Pawtuckaway River?
It's called what?
It's called the Pawtuckaway River on your map.
Oh, geez, I don't know.
And there's
Let's
actually
go to-
several Pawtuckaway rivers on your map.
Yeah, we can fix that.
I think we need to go to talk to DES.
I think so.
Well, that's a good point.
And there's an Exeter, well, maybe that's Exeter Road, I don't know. This is great. This is gonna, I think
is-
this
it
is
is
super
nice.
useful and
And
important.
it does connect to the Pawtuckaway Rivers.
Yeah,
It's a tributary.
awesome.
The Pawtuckaway is a tributary. yeah.
Well,
No,
I'll
I
keep people
understand.
posted. If anybody has
Yeah.
any questions, just let me know.
Nice. Thank you so much. Glad you're on that.
All the way onto the bay.
It, all the way out in Great Bay is the Pawtuckaway.
Maths can lie sometimes. Okay, so moving on, Neal Mill and Old Class, so now Old Lee Road, or Old Lee is a Class A trail, which is awesome. A couple things on that. I'm still working with Southeast Land Trust to think about what we might do out there and what they're be willing to do and when they might do a forestry operation. So it's still just sort of in the works. It's been pretty dry now, so it's actually pretty functional, I think. One of the questions I had, and just a thought, don't have to decide now, and I'm not really sure, but so the parking area at Neal Mill Road, and then there's the parking lot, there's a parking area on Old Lee Class A Trail now in Newfields, and of course, and there's an entrance off of Halls Mill in Newfields. So they're all Class A trails. So there's essentially 3 entrances to the Class A trail now, the 2 Class A trails. And I wondered if we should create a sign that says this is a Class A trail to alert people that it's a Class A trail. and we'd have the same signs, we would do it with Newfield. So we'd have a sign at each of those 3 entries that this is a Class A trail, maybe, doesn't have to be a lot of information, but just a smidgen of what that means.
I think that's a decent idea, because it used to be Class 6, and Class 6 you could drive down.
Right,
And
yeah.
you're
Now they're
not
gated
allowed
and
to.
locked, right,
And
yeah.
Class A trail, no vehicular traffic except landowners.
Yeah.
Maybe something like, yeah.
What do you think about,
Do other towns have that? I don't know of other Class A trails that I've been on. I may have been on a bunch of them.
I know, like, I think part of Cuba Road in Newfield is a Class A trail, but
Okay.
I don't know, for some reason, towns don't do it, because I've been trying to find out if there's any examples.
Yeah, because that one doesn't say, that, I know Cuba doesn't have any signage that says it's a Class A trail. There's a bridge closed sign, and then
I know, but I
there's
think
no.
after that, I think it's a Class A trail.
Yeah.
And then I think Epping actually has, I think there's one in Epping that's a Class A trail.
Could be. Epping's
Yeah,
fine.
so I don't think so. I think we would be the first. But I thought-
Are they
Is
going to
the
be
limit
gated?
no
They're already
motorized
gated,
vehicles?
they're all gated.
It's not open for public vehicular travel anymore, is my understanding.
Yeah, it can be
Right.
gated at that point and
Yeah.
locked,
Yeah, like,
and just the landowners have keys in the towns.
there's different kinds of Class 6 roads.
Yeah.
Some of them you can just drive right down at your own risk. Some are subject to gates and bars.
And the key part of it in the New Hampshire law is that, it's a little weird, but if it's a Class 6 road, towns are not supposed to spend any money on it, because if they do, then you could be forced to upgrade it to a Class 5 road.
Right.
So with a Class A trail, we can now put money into improving it as a trail.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why you do it, is to sort of, and
I see.
yeah, I think it's one of the main reasons. And then, of course, just to recognize that it's a trail and not a road. And there's very few landowners who abut any of, except mostly conservation land. There's a couple others, still private, but. Anyways, well, we can, maybe I'll look around and see if anybody else has done any signs, and maybe bring a design next time, if you think it's worthy.
Great.
And I'll talk to Newfields to see if they would, because I think we should have the same sign, just to show that we're working together on that concept. Okay.
Just kind of on that point, one of the
Yeah.
chapters from master plan is regional cooperation.
Huh?
So that'd be a good
Okay.
example of that. We're creating Class A trails and whatnot, working together, sharing costs and maintenance and whatnot, because it did it in.
Yeah, yeah. Nice. We're gonna get lots of money. We're doing this. All right.
So that's a good way to say that the town could help pay for any improvements outside of the conservation fund,
Right. Yeah. Yes, I agree.
the town's general fund.
Yeah. All right, so the only thing I got left is some events to highlight. We have a day of service with the New Hampshire Newmarket High School Environmental Club on the afternoon of the 24th. Not sure yet what we'll do with them. And then I mentioned the NHACC meeting is November 4th. And Astronomy Night with the Nature Conservancy and the New Hampshire Astronomical Society is January 8th. And I thought there was, and then I'll forward you the email from the Nature Conservancy about the oyster volunteer celebration.
Great.
Anything else?
The astronomy night up at their
It's at their
offices?
office, yeah, and, yeah, I'm gonna get in touch with whoever their person is, and we'll do some joint announcement, and
Great.
soon we want people to sign up, but I'm not sure how they'll feel about it. Maybe just have people come.
Yeah. Great.
Hopefully a clear night. You
Yeah.
have a rain or cloudy night.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just rain, if it's cloudy,
Back
obviously.
A cloud date.
Cloud date. All right. Thanks again, Sue.
Thank you.
Have
very
some
much.
cider and cookies when you leave.
Yes.
And motion to adjourn. Motion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Second?
We're so